Good evening, YouTube. My name is Dan, and I'm the coach of your St. Louis Rampardos. Now, last week in the UCL, the St. Louis Rampardos took a crushing 3-0 loss to the Long Island Rockies. And I want to talk a few moments here about that matchup. A little bit of crit, a little bit of hacks here in the middle of the matchup. Getting a crit on Conkeldurr certainly mattered, but ultimately it came down to bad coaching on my part. And I do apologize to my St. Louis Rampardos fans about the mishap there. I made a very crucial poor play in not sacrificing Raichu against the Mamoswine and rather switching into Conkeldurr to take that hit in the first place. Lesson learned, and I will do my best in the future matches to evaluate our proper win conditions and come out with the W at the end of the day. Now, moving forward, we have the Carolina Keldeos and JayYTGamer. Now, Jay was often looked at and has been looked at as not a very top contender with all due respect. However, he has performed incredibly well this season, performing at a 2-1 record so far, featuring a very impressive team consisting of Pokemon like Sylveon and Mega Blastoise, Zygarde, and the biggest threat in my opinion, which is Victini. This match is a very important match for the Rampardos because 3-1 sounds a hell of a lot better than 2-2. Let's be honest here, first of all. And second of all, we need to solidify our place in the top of the league, especially after our slip last week against the Long Island Rockies. I have prepared my team, and I feel very confident going into this match. However, Jay's team is very impressive, and he has shown people that he is a good battler, and he is very, very capable of coming out with a W. So we need to not take this match lightly, Rampardos fans and friends. This is a very serious matchup for us. Again, Jay's team sports an impressive lineup featuring Sylveon and Zygarde and Fortress and Mega Blastoise, Victini as well, Honchkrow. And Jay has also shown his ability to utilize lower tier Pokemon like Sneasel as well, Electabuzz and Golbat and Registeel as well. There's a lot of versatility in his team, and he has shown that he's willing to use some of these lower tier Pokemon to his advantage. He is not afraid to dig deep into his pool of Pokemon, whereas someone like myself, I typically stick with my core, 4 or 5 and then add replacements here and there. So we do have to really prepare for everything. But you'll see there's a couple Pokemon that I specifically prepared quite a bit for because they typically result in a higher threat. And those Pokemon that you'll see in my team building that we did focus on were Sylveon, because Sylveon is a huge problem for anything not called Mega Metagross. Zygarde, which can potentially be a sub-coil set. It could be a number of different sets. Zygarde is actually a very good Pokemon, but it does sport a 4x ice weakness. Fortress, which is otherwise a problem to take down, so you'll see an onslaught of fire-type attacks from my team. And lastly, the Pokemon I'm very concerned about is Victini. Well, we won't forget about Mega Blastoise, but Victini is a huge problem. Having the ability to be both Choice Scarf, Choice Banded, Specs, it could be so many different sets, and it's got base 100 across the board, so Victini is a huge problem, so we're going to need to prepare for all of those things. So anyway, let's jump right into our team building here, and we'll see how things go. Now, the first Pokemon that's going to be kicking things off for us so far this season is going to be Mega Metagross. Now, you guys have seen Mega Metagross in 3 matches so far, and it's only picked up 1 kill. Unfortunately, it hasn't been able to gain the momentum that we expected it to do so far, but I look for this to be a very big match for Mega Metagross, as it does outspeed everything on Jay's team, except for some of his potential lower tier Pokemon, and it's able to one-hit shot pretty much everything, or at least 2-hit KO most of his threats. Now, it's going to be very important for me to get this Mega Evolution off as soon as possible, and there's 2 key Pokemon that I'm able to Mega Evolve against, Sylveon and Fortress. So we're gonna have to look for those opportunities to get Mega Metagross in, to Mega Evolve against those Pokemon to get that speed boost up to the 110 base speed. So that way I'm able to outspeed the rest of his threats as long as he doesn't bring any surprise Choice Scarf users. So we're going to have to be very aware and scouting for those things early on in the match. I don't plan on saving Metagross until late match this time. I really plan on utilizing it early on, sending it in when I find the right opportunity. As soon as Sylveon comes in, Gross is going out there and it's Mega Evolving, because even though I take a good amount of damage from a Shadow Ball, I'm going to be able to do a lot of damage back on Sylveon, get that Mega Evolution off early in the game, and be able to threaten the Sylveon out with the Meteor Mash, potentially predicting a switch into something else, maybe firing off an Ice Punch or something like that. So I really look forward to Metagross putting in some work this match, and I really think it's going to be a key, but not our late game key. I think it's going to be a key for this match, but I don't think it's going to be what we save till the very end. I think we need to get it into that match and Mega Evolved as early as possible to be able to utilize it to its maximum effectiveness. Obviously, we're running Meteor Mash, Thunder Punch for the Blastoise and Honchkrow, Earthquake for the Victini to do a good amount of damage, and Ice Punch for the Zygarde, so we have a good amount of coverage here. I don't have Bullet Punch. That was a very tough decision to make. We do not carry Bullet Punch on this week, and we don't really have the best answers for Fortress, but Fortress typically can't do much back to us unless it has Earthquake, so a couple things to point out there. The next Pokemon we're rocking is our physically defensive beast that is Vaporeon. Now, Vaporeon is very important in this match because it's able to take hits pretty much the best from Victini, which is still an issue, especially if it has Bolt Strike, which is still going to 2-hit KO me. So I don't really have a reliable Victini check, but Vaporeon gives me something that can come in on Zygarde, it can come in on Victini, and come in on a lot of his Pokemon, and potentially get a Scald Burn off or deal some damage or Ice Beam, etc. I was very tossed between Toxic and Ice Beam for the last move on this Vaporeon set, and I decided to go with Ice Beam for the Zygarde, just in case, because otherwise Scald would not break its substitute, and it would be able to set up all over my face if it was especially defensive. So I didn't want that to be the case, so I went with Ice Beam. I hope I don't regret that decision, because having Ice Beam instead of Toxic kind of makes our effectiveness against Pokemon like Blastoise and Sylveon a little bit less, but we'll see what happens. I think this Vaporeon could put in some work this week. Now, our third Pokemon has been one of our best Pokemon this season, and unfortunately took a big crit from that Mamoswine, kind of keeping it from doing a little bit more last week, but that is Conkeldurr, our Hercules. Now, Hercules is running an Assault Vest set this week, carrying Drain Punch knockoff. It's also going to have Fire Punch and Poison Jab for coverage. Now, that Fire Punch is going to do a tremendous amount to a Fortress, and Poison Jab is actually going to do over half to Sylveon as well, and with that Assault Vest and Max Def investment, we're going to be able to take Hyper Voices from non-Calm Mind setting up Sylveons, so that Poison Jab is going to do a lot of damage, and it's going to be able to do more than the Wish, plus we have 30% chance to burn. There's always that factor, and the other thing that we can keep in mind is that our Drain Punches, are going to be able to take out this Blastoise, hopefully, and we have the Guts ability in case we get scalded. We'll be able to get that Guts boost and hit things a little bit harder than we otherwise would. So I look for Conkeldurr to do quite a bit. This match has got a pretty decent matchup, and as long as it, I'm looking forward to pick up at least one kill here in trade, or at least stop something from doing a lot of damage to us. I think it could be really good, and the potential to knock off items is always nice, so especially if he has any Hidden Choice Scarf users. Now, our fourth Pokemon is going to be making its season debut, and I'm very excited for this set. If you guys don't know, from my planning in other leagues and in the UCL, I really like to predict the lead matchup. I think predicting the lead matchup is one of the most important things you can do in this league, and when you get it right, it changes the game. It really changes the game, and we've done really well doing that so far this season and in seasons past in other leagues, and it's really important that we nail it this time. So this Kecleon set is specifically designed for that lead matchup, and I'm hoping it's able to do its thing. It's going to be rocking Stealth Rock, which is nice. It's got max attack and max HP with the Life Orb. The Stealth Rock is going to be there to get hazards up. Now, I know he does have two reliable spinners in Blastoise and Fortress, and one of the better defoggers in Golbat, but getting up those rocks early is going to force him to use one of those moves later on in the match if he wants to get rid of those rocks. Otherwise, we're going to be whittling down that Victini, which is very important. Now, we also have the Fake Out on this Pokemon as well. Fake Out is going to be able to break the Sturdy from the Fortress and also do quite a bit of damage to Victini, about 20%, 25% with that Life Orb. And the Sucker Punch is there to kill the Victini after the Fake Out. The Fire Punch is there is to kill the Fortress after the Fake Out as well. After its Sturdy has been broken, that Fire Punch will do the rest of the damage that we need to do to knock out the Fortress on the lead matchup and keep him from setting up his own hazards. Whether Jay will predict that or not, I don't know, but I figured the priority with the Fake Out isn't going to hurt anything. We're a little bit limited in coverage options here, and if he were to run like a substitute Victini, we'd be in a lot of trouble, but at the very least, I look forward to seeing how this Kecleon set does this week in the UCL. I think it could be, big or bust in a way, in all honesty. It's either going to be huge for us and it's going to do a ton of work, or it's going to pretty much do nothing and just die right away. So I have the utmost confidence in the fact that, Kecleon's going to be able to come in there, pick up a kill, a cheeky kill, and whittle down some other opponents and get those rocks up. That's the plan. So moving on to our fifth Pokemon, and perhaps our most creative Pokemon this week, we are bringing Hydreigon back. Now, Hydreigon has been our biggest offensive threat so far this season, sporting an impressive, I believe, 5 or 6 kills so far already, basically just firing off Dark Pulses and cleaning up teams against both Shady and Patters in week 1 and 2. But this week, we're actually bringing a defensive, bulkier Hydreigon. but we're not really running the moves to show that. So the idea here is that we're hopefully going to be able to kind of bluff what set we are, but Hydreigon is my primary check to Victini because I don't really have another option for it, and I need something that can be able to come in on this Victini and take more than 1 or 2 hits. And Hydreigon does just that, and the fact that we're able to threaten it out with the potential of being, you know, scarfed or a number of different sets really plays into our favor here. We're going to be running, you know, a good amount of HP investment, fully physically defensive invested with the proper nature to boost our defenses. I think we're bold nature, and then we're actually running a good amount of special defense investment, 166 specially defensive EVs, which is going to maximize our use of this assault vest that we're carrying as well, which will allow us to actually take a Dazzling Gleam from a Victini, which isn't too common, but it is a possibility that he does bring Dazzling Gleam on Victini, and we should be able to take a hit from the Sylveon as well, although if Sylveon comes in, we outspeed and we just U-turn away anyway, so it's really kind of a moot point. But we're carrying the U-turn, the Draco Meteor for the Zygarde and everything else, Dark Pulse and Flamethrower. Flamethrower, of course, for Fortress, so we don't get walled by that thing, which otherwise would be a little bit of a problem. And I think the Flamethrower gives us pretty good coverage across the board anyway. So I look for this Hydreigon to not really boast the same offensive pressure that it has, but it does give us momentum with that U-turn, and it has a decent amount of bulk through the investments that we've used to be able to tank hits from Victini in resisting both the Bolt Strike, the V-Create, immune to the Psychic move. If he carries the Brick Break, we can eat that. If he carries the Dazzling Gleam, we could take 1 because of our Assault Vest. So I look forward to seeing how this Hydreigon performs this week. And it's, again, another, you know, hit or miss kind of Pokemon. It could be very good for us and really confuse Jay, or it could be, you know, something that ends up, you know, not doing as much as we hoped for. So we're going to be pretty optimistic, though. I think this Hydreigon set, I debated quite a bit, but I really felt that this was the set I wanted to run this week to give myself a proper Victini check, which I needed to have. And the last Pokemon is going to be Raichu. Now, unfortunately, Raichu has not gotten off to the start that I wanted it to, but this week could be a different situation for us. The Zygarde is one of the biggest threats, and it will be stopping our Volt Switching ability, but we do have the HP Ice on this thing as well, and hopefully we're going to be able to bluff the fact that we're choiced by carrying this Zap Plate, which is going to boost our attacks, both Thunderbolt and Volt Switch, and hopefully show that we're choiced. My hope is that he thinks that we're Specs early on in the match, and then we're going to be able to surprise him later on with that HP Ice or the Shadow Ball for the Victini. If he's not Scarf, we have just enough investment to outspeed Victini no matter what, and we also have a good amount of defensive bulk actually on this Raichu to be able to take a hit from that Zygarde if the Zygarde is not invested. It also allows us to take hits from other Pokemon as well, just a little bit better from the defensive perspective. So that's going to be our team, guys. We're bringing the team. I fully expect Jay to bring a huge onslaught of Pokemon, including that Victini, the Sylveon, the Zygarde, and the rest of the Pokemon. I'm thinking maybe the Blastoise is going to make an appearance, and potentially this Honchkrow. I mean, he's got a lot of different options. There's a lot of different things to worry about here. One of the Pokemon I'm actually kind of worried about quite a bit is actually a Sneasel, which I know sounds a bit crazy, but he might steer away from that because of the priority I have. But it's going to be an epic matchup, guys, and I hope you guys are excited for it. Our match will be going up, I believe, at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. This following Saturday coming up, I believe it's the 15th of August, and I hope you guys are very, very excited for this matchup. If you did enjoy this video and you're a member of the St. Louis Rampardos, I need you guys to hit that like button for me and show your support. That is going to be it for me. I am the coach of your St. Louis Rampardos, and I'm going to get the heck out of here. I will catch you guys later. Peace.